tonight's performance of the complete works of William Shakespeare. I have just a few brief announcements before we get underway. The use of flash photography and the recording of this performance by any means, audio or video, is strictly prohibited. Svetlana? Also, please refrain from eating, drinking, or smoking anything during the performance. If you have a cell phone, please take a moment now to turn it off. Take a moment. And if you have a pager, please get yourself a cell phone. Toilets are located in the bathrooms for your convenience. Also, please take a moment now to locate the exits nearest to your seat. Should the theatre experience a sudden loss of pressure, oxygen mask will drop automatically. Simply place the mask over your mouth and nose and continue to breathe normally. If you're at the theatre with a small child, please place your own mask first and let the little bugger fend for himself. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ash, and it gives me great pleasure to announce that we're about to attempt a feat that we believe to be unprecedented in the history of civilization. That is to capture in a single theatrical moment the magic, the genius, the towering grandeur of the complete works of William Shakespeare. So we have a lot to get through tonight. So at this moment, I would like to invite one of Armenia's preeminent Shakespeare scholars. He has a certificate of completion from preeminentshakespearescholars.com. He's here to provide the complete works of William Shakespeare with a much needed preface. Please welcome me in joining Mr. Daniel Scott Peterson.
Thank you, Ash, and greetings, ladies and gentlemen. William Shakespeare, playwright, poet, actor, philosopher, Stratford's proudest flower, transplanted from the heart of the English countryside to bask in the warmth of London's literary greenhouse. A man who, despite the ravages of male pattern baldness, much like our resident theatre teacher Jason, planted the potent seed of his poetical genius in the fertile womb of Elizabeth's England. There it took root and spread through the lymphatic system of Western civilization until it became the oozing carbuncle of knowledge and understanding that grows even today at the very top of our collective consciousness. And yet, how much do we intellectually flaccid inhabitants of the 21st century appreciate the plump fruit of Shakespeare's productive loins?
How much?
Let's find out, shall we? I believe I could illustrate this point by conducting a brief poll here among the audience. Bob, can I have some house lights, please? Now, you are a theatre-going crowd, obviously of above average literary sensibility. And yet, if I may just ask, by a show of hands, who in here has ever seen or read any play by William Shakespeare? Any contact with the bard whatsoever, just raise your hand. Dude, which group?
Why?
I think they know more than us.
But you're an eminent Shakespeare scholar.
No, I'm preeminent.
Well, then be preeminent.
How? What?
Narrow it down.
Let's see if we can narrow this down a bit, shall we? Who in here has ever seen or read All's Well That Ends Well? Anybody? Let's see if we have any super eminent Shakespearean scholars here tonight. Who in here has ever seen or read King John? King John, anyone? Yes, you've seen or read it.
Seen it.
When?
2 years ago.
Where?
In Japan.
Who's the main actor? Okay. Yes, anyone else? No? Yes, what about you? Seen or read it?
I downloaded it.
Aha. Would you mind telling us what it's about?
It's about a hunchback.
No! King John is not about a hunchback. As any preeminent Shakespearean scholar could tell you, King John is about a king named John. Would you stand up, please? Ladies and gentlemen, ecce homo.
Hey!
Judging by lack of fluency in Latin, I presume that you have not matriculated.
Well, not today. Isn't that a little personal?
Look at this man, ladies and gentlemen, abandoned by the IB, dragged here by his girlfriend hoping for extra credit in Justin's English class and hopped up on Red Bull. Now look at the person sitting next to you. Go ahead. Do you recognize the same lifeless expression, the same pores clogged with the acne of intellectual immaturity? Or do you see there perhaps, hey, keep looking! Do you see there a longing, a desperate plea for literary salvation?
Can I sit down?
No! You stand before us as a living symbol of a society whose ability to comprehend, much less attain the genius of William Shakespeare has been systematically sodomized by soap operas, ruined by reality shows, and violently violated by the women of the View. Ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, cast off the cheap thrill of the car chase for the splendor of the sonnet. Exchange the isolation of the iPhone for the idols of the iamb. Imagine a world where many men wear pink tights with pride.
Hallelujah!
But have no fear. UWCD Theater is here tonight as your intellectual salvation. We descend among you on a mission from God and the literary muse to spread the holy word of the bards to the masses, to help you take those first holding steps out of the 21st century quagmire of Facebook and One Direction and the Kardashians, and into the future. A glorious future. A future where this book will be found in every hotel room across the world. Can I get an amen?
Amen!
Can I get an amen?
Amen!
This is my dream, ladies and gentlemen, and it begins here tonight. Join me in taking those first holding steps down the path toward literary redemption by opening your hearts. Yes, open your hearts. And your pocketbooks. Or simply charge your donations to your Visa or MasterCard by phoning 1-800-THE-BAR right now. Give us your cash if we be friends and deduct them when the tax year ends. Now, on with the show. And may the bar be with you.
For those of you who own a copy of this book, know that no collection is complete without a brief biography of the life of William Shakespeare. To provide this next portion of the show will be the next member of our troupe. Please welcome on stage Mr. Koen.
Going in order. Hi. As you can see, I'm not an audience member. I completely fooled you. I was Googling Shakespeare earlier today and I found some cool stuff on his life to get the show off to a good start and to let you guys know all the stuff he did and everything. So yeah, William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born in 1564 in the town of Stratford upon Avon, Warwickshire. The third out of 8 children, he was the eldest son of John Shakespeare, a locally prominent merchant, and Mary Arden, the daughter of a Roman. Catholic member of the landed gentry. In 1582, he married a farmer's daughter named Anne Hathaway. Isn't she that she's on Miserable?
Different Anne Hathaway.
Oh, too bad. She's pretty hot. Shakespeare arrived in London in 1588. By 1592, he had achieved major success as an actor and playwright. After 1608, his dramatic production lessened and he seemed to have spent more time in Stratford. There he dictated to his secretary Rudolf Hess the work Mein Kampf, in which he set forth his restoration, the restoration of Germany to the dominant position in Europe. After reoccupying the Rhineland zone between France and Germany, and annexing Austria, the Sudetenland, and the remainder of Czechoslovakia, Shakespeare then invaded Poland on September the 1st, 1939, thus precipitating World War II. I never knew that about him. Shakespeare remained in Berlin when the Russians entered and committed suicide with his mistress Eva Braun. He lies buried in a church at Stratford. Thank you.
Without further ado, we are proud to present the complete works of William Shakespeare.
All the walls are stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have the exits and the entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. But how many parts exactly must one man play? According to my computations, there are 1,122 roles in Shakespeare's combined works. Way too many. Let us therefore begin our shrinkage of Shakespeare's canon by traveling to Verona, Italy, with the bard's two most beloved characters, Romeo and Juliet. Prologue!
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their lives, whose misadventures, piteous overthrows, do with their death bury their parents' strife.
Act 1, Scene 1. In the street meet two men, tall and handsome. One Benvolio, the other named Samson. Their hatred fueled by an ancient feud. For one serves Capulet, the other Montague.
Oh, what I do when the sun rises in the morn. Oh, it's him. I hate his guts. I swear to God, I'm gonna kill him.
Oh, it's him. Hate his family. Hate his dog. Hate him all.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
No, sir, I don't bite my thumb.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I do bite my thumb. Do you quarrel, sir?
Quarrel, sir? No, sir.
Even if you do, I am for you. I serve as good a man as you do.
No better.
Yes, better.
You lie!
Down with the Montagues!
Up yours, Capulet!
Rebellious subjects!
Oh no, it's the prince!
Enemies to the peace, on pains of torture, throw your mistempered weapons to the ground and hear the sentence of your moved prince.
Buskill.
You, Capulet, shall go along with me. Benvolio, come you this afternoon to our father, pleasure in this case.
Brown nose.
Asshat.
Where's Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am he was not at this fray. But see, he comes.
Oh,
Good morrow, cuz.
is the day so young?
But news struck 9.
I me, sad hours seem long.
What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which makes them short.
In love?
Out.
Out of love?
Out of a favor where I'm in love.
Alas, that love so gently in his view should be so rough and tyrannous in proof.
Alas, that love whose view is muffled still, should without eyes see pathways to his will. Oh.
Go ye to the feast of Capulets. There sups the fair Rosalind, whom thou so lovest, with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither and compare her face to some that I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crown.
None fairer than my love.
There's free beer.
Let's go.
So much for Act 1. Now hie we to the feast of Capulets, where Romeo shall meet his Juliet, and in the scene of timeless romance, he'll try and get into Juliet's past.
It's from Max.
Yeah, wanna welcome by Crazy Movie that day he fly. I beat through the beat, walking through the street with the new free. Yeah, this is how I roll. Animal shape bands that I control. Shredded food with a big afro. Relax, pose the hero and hide the glow. Yeah. Girl, look at her body. Girl, look at her body. Girl, look at her body. I work out when I walk in the spot. So this is what I see. Everybody's nonsense. And me about passion in my pants. And I hate the flow. Show it, show it, show it, show it.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright. Did my heart ever love for swear sight? For I never saw true beauty till this night. If I profane unholy hand, this holy shrine, the gentle finest kiss, my lips, too blushing, ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Good pilgrim, you do rub your hands too much, which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints of hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have saints not lips and holy palmers too?
I, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Then ye say that lips do what hands do.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not, ye say from prayer's effect I take.
And from my lips the sin that they have took.
Sin from my lips, O trespass we see it. Give me my sin again.
I don't want to kiss you.
It's indiscreet.
You kissed by the book. Coming, mother.
Oh, is she a Capulet? I so I fear. The more is my unrest. What are you doing?
The balcony seat.
What light through yonder window break?
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Who is thy father and deny thy name? Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. What's in a name anyway? That which he called a nose, by any other name would still smell. Romeo, love thy name, and for thy name which is no part of myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I shall be new baptized. Henceforth I shall never be. Call me but love, and I shall be new baptized.
Oh, you butt love?
I said, call me but love.
Okay, you butt love. Butt love.
What man art thou? Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither fair maid if either thee dislike.
Dost thou love me then? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon.
Oh, swear not by the moon!
What shall I swear by? Lady, by yonder blessed virgin, I swear.
Although I take joy in thee, I take no joy in this concert here tonight. It is too rash, too sudden, too unadvised, too like the lightning, which doth seize the night. And one can say it lightens. Sweet good night.
Me and you.
Sweet good night.
Oh, but thou leave me so unsatisfied.
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight? Second basis for second days, really? Good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Bye, butt love.
Though Romeo did swoon with love, by Cupid he'd been crippled. But Juliet had a loathsome cuss, whose loathsome name was Tybalt.
Romeo, the love I bear thee can afford no better term than this. Thou art a villain, therefore turn and draw.
Tybalt, I do protest, I never injured thee, but loved thee more than thou canst devise.
Thou wretch boy, I am for you! Oh, I am slain.
Tanya?
Moving right along. From Tybaltstead onwards, the lovers are cursed. Despite the best efforts of friar and nurse, their fate pursues them, they can't seem to duck it. And at the end of Act 5, they both kick the bucket.
Romeo, thou day and night, come, gentle night, come, loving, black-browed night, oh, night, Romeo is that whom Tybalt would have killed. Well, that's good, isn't it?
That's good, isn't it?
No, yeah. No, it's bad. Very bad. Indeed.
And Tybalt is that who would have killed my husband. Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
And why do I feel like crap? It's not a good day for Juliet. It's an icky boo boo gaga wee wee beep 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 boo boo but they don't fall down there. Oh, look, it's Friar Lawrence. Oh, Friar Lawrence. Romeo is banished and Tybalt is slain, and I've got cramps and a not so fresh feeling. Can you help me, please?
Take a dog, this surveillance, the still och ligger att ringa. En prästlig fråga vänster så de koden att dra till honom.
I do feel a cold, drowsy humor through my veins.
I told you so.
Thanks, Obi-Wan. Feels kind of nice.
Oh.
I feel better.
Oh no, my love! Death that had sunk the honey of thy breath had yet no power upon thy beauty. O Juliet, why art thou yet so fair?
No luck, I guess.
Here's to my love. O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss I die. Thus with a kiss I die.
Good morning.
Ooh, where is my love? What is this? A cup closed in my true love's hand. Poison I see hath been his time present. Oh, churro, drunk it all and left no friendly drop to help me after. Then I'll be quick. Oh, happy never. This is thy sheath.
Well, there's Romeo for you.
Ah! Then let me die.
Epilogue.
A glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow shall not show its head. Go forth and have more talk of these said things. For some shall be pardoned and some punished hell. For never was there a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.
And Romeo and Juliet are dead. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, Dilijan, and good night.
Wow, we did that in 12 minutes. Let's see, at that rate we'd be done in 12 times 37 is 7 hours. Crap. So let's see, Romeo and Juliet was a classic. Unlike this next play that Shakespeare wrote as a 24-year starving artist, desperate for a hit, but too poor to know where his next meal was coming from. To no surprise, an obsession with food dominates his first tragedy revenge drama, Titus Andronicus, which we now present as a cooking show.
Hi everyone, I'm Titus Andronicus, and welcome to the Gory Gourmet. Now, when you've had a lousy day, your left hand chopped off, your son's murdered, your daughter raped, both her hands cut off and her tongue cut out, well, the last thing you want to do is cook. Unless, of course, you cook the rapist and serve him to his mother at a dinner party. My daughter Lavinia and I will show you how. Good evening, Lavinia. Good evening, Gary. How are we today?
That's all, Gabby. I got my house chopped off, my gun chopped off. He raped me. How do you think I feel?
Well, that's a pisser, isn't it? But we'll get our revenge. Now, heart villain, I'll grind your bones to dust, and of your blood in it I'll make a paste. And of that paste, a coffin I'll rear and make a pasty of your shameful head. Come, Lavinia, receive the blood. Now you want to make a nice clean incision from carotid artery to jugular, like so.
That's really gross, Daddy.
You should use a big bowl for this, because the human body has about 4 quarts of blood in it. And when that be a stick, we should be right about now.
Let me go grind his bones to powder small with this hateful liquor temperate. And in that paste let his vile head be baked.
At about 350 degrees. And about 40 minutes later, you'll have this lovely human head pie, which I prepared earlier. I even chopped off some lady fingers for dessert. Now, who will be the first to try this delicious
Yummy!
Welcome, gracious Lord. Welcome, drag queen. Was pleased to eat, was pleased to feed, and finger like a gun.
Finger licking.
Well, we're out of time. Be sure to tune in next time when we'll see Tim and Athens teach us how to make ratatouille out of our special guest, the Merry Wives of Windsor. Say good night, Lavinia.
Good night, Lavinia.
Close enough. Good night, everybody, and bon appetit.
Disgusting. But inexplicably, it was one of Shakespeare's greatest hits during his lifetime and allowed him to broaden his artistic horizons. For example, compare the immaturity of Titus Andronicus to the complex subtleties of his next tragedy, Othello, the Moor of Venice.
Speak of me as I am. Let nothing extenuate of one who loved not wisely but too well. For never was there a story of more woe than this of Othello and his Desdemona. Oh, Desi.
Bob, get me some house lights, please.
I'm sorry about this, but it seems that Koen, securing his infallibility of the internet, has Googled the word more and decided that it's a place where you tie up boats.
No, I didn't Google it. I wikied it.
Lose the boats.
Oh, I'm such a dork now.
God, Koen is so ignorant. So what's the Moor?
Well, interestingly, this is a matter of a blazing scholarly debate. For Elizabethans, the word Moor could refer either specifically to the Berbers of North Africa, or more generally to any people of sub-Saharan African descent.
So Othello's black.
You mean African American?
Isn't the play set in Italy?
Okay, so he's African Italian.
Can't we just do it blackface?
Well, are you trying to piss off opera? No, today's entertainment culture expects sensitive, ethnically appropriate casting. If Othello's African Italian, we can't do this without a genuine Quran spouting spaghetti loving homeboy.
Hey, just because we're white doesn't mean we can't represent the Afro-Italian condition, yo. Hey, I got this idea. It's sort of old school, but it's still boatless. Just gotta get a beat going. Here's the story of a brother by the name of Othello. He liked white women and he loved limoncello.
Oh, yeah. And a punk named Iago who made himself a menace because he didn't like Othello, the Moor of Venice.
Now Othello got married to Desdemona.
But he took her for the wars and he left her alone.
It was a Mona.
A grona.
He left her alone.
He didn't write a letter and he didn't telephone her.
Hey, go on! Go on!
No, Teddy love tastes like donuts love Venus.
Excellent! Iago had a plan that was clever and slick. He was crafty.
He was sly.
He was sort of a penis.
He said, I'm gonna chef the Moor.
How you gonna do it?
No, his tragic flaws that is too damn young. I need a dupe, I need a dope, I need a kind of a schmuck.
So you find a chum sucker by the name of Cassio.
And he plans on hearing Desdemona's handkerchief.
Othello gets to wondering if maybe if
Commanding an army.
President Cass playing hide the salami.
Salami. So he come back home and he split the biatch.
Anything he pulled it off without a hitch.
but there's a Millie at the door.
Who he met that for?
Hey, your homie, she wasn't no hoe. She was
Virginal too.
So why'd you have to go and make her face turn blue?
It's true.
It's you. Now what you gonna do?
So Othello Shakespeare Town.
Why don't we move on from all this heavy tragedy and get on to the comedies?
Yeah! Comedies! Now, Shakespeare's comedies were greatly influenced by the Roman plays of Plautus and Terence, Ovid's hilarious metamorphosis, as well as the rich Italian tradition of commedia dell'arte. He was a genius at borrowing and adapting plot devices from these different theatrical traditions.
Isn't that called plagiarism?
Shakespeare didn't plagiarize, he distilled.
Whatever, he's a big cheater.
Hey, it takes a real genius to milk 5 ideas into 16 plays.
Yeah, but I can never tell them apart. Like, what's the one with the shipwreck, the identical twins, and the big wedding at the end?
All of them.
Yeah, see, that sucks.
You see, essentially Shakespeare was a formula writer. Once he found a device that worked, he used it.
Over and over and over again. Shakespeare obviously should have written one exemplary play instead of 16 sub-ones, which is why I have taken the liberty of condensing Shakespeare's comedic diarrhea into one single well-formed lump of hilarity, which I have entitled The Comedy of Two Well-Measured Gentlemen Lost in a Merry Wives of Venice on a Midsummer's Twelfth Night in Winter. Or
Simpling, Taming Pericles, The Merchant in the Tempest of Love, As Much as You Like It for Nothing. Or
Four Weddings and a Transvestite. Act 1. A Bohemian duke sweats an oath of celibacy, turns to rule the city over to his tyrannical brother, and sets sail for the golden age of Greece. While rounding the heel of Italy, the duke's ship is caught in a terrible tempest that casts him up on a desert island along with his sweet, innocent, and clueless young daughter.
Oh, dear father, I am so lonely and pubescent on this island. I'm sad, boo-hoo, and frisky.
Oh, precious daughter, beware of signs of colonial oppression lurking in caves waiting for virgins.
Okay, bye-bye.
Meanwhile, the duke's long-lost son, a handsome, dashing, clueless young merchant, is also a shipwreck, coincidentally on the very same island.
Oh, how shall I survive in the strange foreign land without funds? Oh, I know, I must find me an old Jew. Behold, here comes a convenient Judeo-Italian stereotype.
What's the matter with you, eh? Need a payday, old Bobby?
The wicked Jew tricks the merchant into putting down his brains as collateral on the loan.
Such a deal.
Act 2. Fearing ravishment, the clueless young princess disguises herself as a boy and becomes the page to a handsome, dashing, clueless young soldier.
You there,
Yes.
boy.
Yes.
You shall woo the lady Olivia for me, for she is shrewish and I'm sick with love.
I do feel phlegmy down there, for while I might not speak it aloud, I do love thee, though I'm a boy.
I do not swing it that way, boy. Deliver this letter to Olivia. Go hence.
What?
Hie thee hither from hence to thence.
Act 3. The beautiful, virginal, clueless young princess arrives in Mandrake to woo the lady Olivia.
It is I, the bitch Olivia. Come hither.
Whither?
Thither from hither. If you show it, I'll show you my zither.
Act 4. On the 12th night of midsummer, a puckish bride leads all the lovers deep into a forest and squeezes the aphrodite juice of a hermaphroditic flower in their eyes, while the queen of the fairies seduces a rude mechanical who has the head of an ass.
But I'm the ass of a man, and I'm hung like a donkey. Hee-haw.
Act 5. In the ensuing bisexual animalistic orgy, the princess' man clothes get ripped off, revealing a smoking bot and female genitalia. The merchant recognizes his sister.
My nearly identical twin.
My long-lost and strangely attractive brother.
The shrew realizes she's bi-curious.
Oh, brave new world.
The dashing young soldier decides she actually prefers bottom.
And there hung a sweet tail.
The Jew exits, pursued by a bear.
Oh, you bear!
And they all get married in the state of Massachusetts and go out to dinner. Now give us your hands if we be friends, because all is well that finally ends. Thank you.
I had no idea Shakespeare was such a perv.
Wow, we really did 12 plays in 16 minutes or something. But if we are going to get out of here before midnight, we have to get back to the tragedies.
Yay, tragedies!
Tragedies. We've actually found out that Shakespeare's comedies aren't nearly as funny as his tragedies.
That's really true. You know what's funny? The Scottish play.
Oh yeah, Macbeth.
Shh,
Don't say it!
Why not?
Because it's cursed. It's bad enough to say the name in a theatre unless you're performing it. That's why we will refer to it as the Scottish play.
But we are performing it, and besides, there's nothing remotely Scottish about it.
It's on the performance school. It has to be done so you can see the heather rippling on the highlands, feel the cold summer breeze wafting up your kilt, and smell the vomit steaming in the alley outside the pub.
Yeah! Kilt, whiskey!
Vomit!
Ladies and gentlemen, our authentically Scottish production of Macbeth. Rubble, bubble, throil and trouble.
Stay here and perfect Mac Speaker, Mac tell me Mac more.
Macbeth, Macbeth. Beware, Macduff. No man or woman born shall harm Macbeth. That Burman will come to dancing men. Don't you know?
Oh, that they great. That Mac what, Mac Leave, Mac Guy, Mac Fear, Macduff.
See you, Jimmy! And know that Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely rape. What do you think about that?
Oh, that bloody disgusting. Lay on, Haggisbreath.
Macbeth, Macbeth! You killed me wife, you murdered me wee band, and you did a poop in me soup!
Oh, I did not!
Oh, you did! I had to throw half of it away! Behold where lies the usurper's head! Macbeth, your arse is out the windy! And know that never was there a story of more pain and death than this of Mr. and Mrs. Macbeth. Thank you.
Meanwhile, in ancient Rome, Julius Caesar was a much beloved tyrant.
All hail Julius Caesar!
Hail, citizens!
He was warned by a soothsayer.
Beware the Ides of March.
The great Caesar, however, chose to ignore the warning.
What the hell are the Ides of March?
The 15th of March.
What? That's today. Oh, it's fruit!
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar. So let's bury him and get on with my play. Antony!
And Cleopatra. Is this an asp I see before me? Come, venomous wretch. What?
You have this bizarre notion that all of Shakespeare's tragic heroines wear really ugly wigs and vomit on people.
Oh, it's an interpretation.
Barfing is not interpretation.
They were into it.
Koen, Antony and Cleopatra has nothing to do with gastrointestinal distress. It's a trans-global thriller about political maneuvering across the ancient Mediterranean.
Oh, it's one of Shakespeare's transglobal plays. Oh, I love those. Like the one that totally predicted 21st century wireless communication.
What?
Yeah, it was called Two Mobile Kinsmen.
Koen, Shakespeare wrote a play called Two Noble Kinsmen.
Not two mobile kinsmen.
Two
noble kinsmen.
No. It was definitely mobile because the two kinsmen were Bill Gates and Steve Jobs.
No, the kinsmen are cousins who fall in love with the same woman.
Oh, so they're like texting each other. OMG, you're my BFF, LOL.
No!
Well, that's stupid. Never even heard of that play.
Well, that's because Two Noble Kinsmen falls under the category of Shakespeare's plays, which are neither comedy or tragedy or history, and which some scholars simply refer to as the problem plays, or in some circles, the obscure plays, the lesser plays, or simply the bad plays. And yet, not all the bad plays are complete without merit. In fact, one of them, Troilus and Cressida, is hardly crap at all. I should discuss this in my unpublished monograph about William Shakespeare entitled, I Love My Willie. Oh, you guys, you would love it. It is big, it is long, it's uncut, and I've been hammering away on it for years. In fact, if you don't mind, I'd like to whip it out now.
No, I don't want to see your... Really don't want to see you.
Monograph.
Oh, what else do you keep in your pants?
Some sandwiches. You want one?
Why don't we do an interpretive dance performance art version of your thingy?
Yeah. I love interpretive performance art. It's so pretentious. And we could use Troilus and Cressida as a jumping off point to explore deeper themes like the transient nature of life and the mythology involved in the rising and dissipation of forms.
Yeah, sure. Get the props.
No, wait just a minute. I was thinking of a more straightforward, scholarly approach.
Screw that.
You read, we'll interpret.
Alright, fine. Troilus and Cressida was written in 1603, published in quarter 1604, and appears in the first folio, although this version is some 166 lines longer than the second quarto edition of 1645, which is some 166 lines shorter. Hey, Bob! Cool. Out! Ladies and gentlemen, my monograph has nothing to do with robotic dogs or strange sounds.
Doesn't it have something to do with the plot?
Yeah, of course I cover the plot. It's right here in the footnote of page 29. Alright, okay. Troilus, youngest son of Priam, king of Troy.
You be Troilus and you be the king.
Alright, okay. Loves Cressida.
I'll get the wing.
And has arranged with her uncle Pandarus for a meeting. Although she feigns indifference.
Wait, I have to feign indifference?
Yes. Meanwhile, Agamemnon, the Greek king, has surrounded the church.
Agamemnon! Boring!
This is the kind of stuff we hate studying because it's so boring.
Yeah, like as soon as she said Agamemnon, I was asleep. I'm sorry guys, but I promised them that I would not do dry, boring, vomitless Shakespeare.
You only hang out with your roommates. You don't even know these people.
That's not true. There is Lilith, who came on a bus from Vanator to be here tonight, and Anahit, who has an IA deadline on Monday that she hasn't even started working for, and Vivek, who thought he was going to see Avengers Infinity War on cinema on the couch and feels totally ripped off. My point is that I love these people, and I don't want to see them get turned off to Shakespeare. That's what happened to me. When I was in Justin's English class, and we were supposed to be doing Shakespeare or something, I was looking outside of the window at the kids playing ball and thinking, why can't the Shakespeare stuff be more like sports?
Sports.
What do you mean?
Well, sports are exciting, engaging. You know, take the histories, for example. With all those kings knocking each other off, running up and down the field, passing the throne from one guy to the next. It's exactly like football, but then with a crown.
They are similar, aren't they?
Wait a minute, I think I have a whistle in here.
Okay, line them up, let's kick some royal ass. 25, 42, Henry III, Richard IV, part 1, part 2.
Up! And the crown is left to Richard II, that well-spoken 14th century monarch. He is fading back to pass, looking for an arrow downfield. But that's Henry Rush from King John!
Oh, my gross flesh sticks downwards!
The crown is in the air and Henry VI comes up with it.
Victory is mine!
He said suddenly by King John, he's cutting Henry III into 3 parts. That's gonna hurt!
King John is in the clear!
My soul hath elbow room!
He's at the 40, the 30, the 20! Oh, but he's being poisoned at the 10-yard line! Looks like he's out for the game. Replacing him now is number 72, King Lear!
Cordelia and Reagan, I give off my kingdom. Cordelia, you go along.
There's a penalty marker! Fictional character on the field, Lear is disqualified and he's not happy about it.
Bastards!
Sliding him now is the father-son team of Henry IV and Prince Hal. Starter back is to the center back is to the hunchback. Oh, Richard III's limp is giving him trouble.
A horse, my kingdom for a horse!
Ooh, there's a blinder.
Fumble! And suddenly King John is up with it. He stops at 5-yard line to jump off his wife's head.
Use your daddy.
Touchdown! That throws him. You gotta believe this is the beginning of a Tudor dynasty.
Henry V, Richard III. This whole family is freaking absurd. Go, Warriors!
What are you doing?
Just want to see the list of plays. I think we might have done them all already.
Really?
Yeah, we did the histories just now.
The comedies are lumber philarity.
Okay, that leaves the tragedies. We did Titus Andronicus with all the blood.
Romeo and Juliet we did.
Julius Caesar, Troilus and Cressida.
We wrapped Othello, Macbeth we did in Scottish accents, Lewis in the football game. What about Antony and Cleopatra?
Yeah, I barfed on that.
Simon Badlands. Alright, okay, I mentioned it, that can count. What about Coriolanus?
Oh, let's skip it.
Why? What's the matter with Coriolanus?
I don't like the anus part. I think it's offensive.
Okay, so we skip the anus play.
Well, that's it, right? That's all of them.
Hey, looks like we can let you go off a few minutes early.
Hey, wait, you guys?
Oh no! Hamlet! Shakespeare didn't write Hamlet.
Sure he did.
Well, what is it about?
You know, a young prince struggling with his conscience after his uncle murders his father?
That's the Lion King.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, 36 plays down, once ago. Perhaps the greatest play ever written. A play of such lofty, poetic, and philosophical.
Hamlet is a hardcore, serious play, and I don't think I'm up for it right now.
What do you mean you're not up for it? It's the last one.
Yeah, I know, but it's just this football game. It left me emotionally and physically drained. I don't think I could do it justice.
We don't have to do it justice, we just have to do it.
I don't want to do it.
Look, Koen, our show is called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare.
So we'll call it The Complete Works of William Shakespeare without Hamlet.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Koen, I think your new friends would like to see it, yeah? Do you want to see Hamlet?
Well, if you guys feel so strongly about it, then you do it. I'm gonna hang out with them. We'll sit and watch the play together.
Come on.
No.
Hey, wait, you can't make me do it. Hey,
Hold on! You're all I have in the world! Do you want?
don't touch me.
Fine, jeez, you just... Yeah, sorry it got kind of trashed. Okay, so we start with the guard scene, so we need Bernardo and Horatio.
Gotcha.
Okay, we'll need Rosencrantz and Guildenstern too.
They've got their own play.
I'll kill Jaime! I'll kill him!
Alright, going to turn off some live theater.
Okay, so you're saying...
Yeah, we need...
Hey, get back here, Shakespeare weenie!
Daniel? Who's there? Answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Long live the king. Bernardo. So how many babies does it take to paint a wall?
How many?
Depends how hard you throw them! I love that one! I love that one! Why did Samantha fall off the swing?
Why?
Because she had no hands! Knock, knock. Not Samantha! Yeah. So I had this other dream the other night. Typical actor's anxiety dream. We were doing this show and it's going really great. We're making really good time, but suddenly we realize we haven't actually read all the plays. And then Daniel and Koen just run off, leaving me in front of all of you guys. And I'm naked. Nice, yeah? So, go outside, that way, and stretch your legs, support our 4 to 6 Cups Cafe, and by the time you're back, we'll proceed to do Hamlet, the Prince of Denmark. I hope.